Oh, yes, we're live. Good, that works. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live at 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR, Real College Radio. It is Sunday, November 4th here in Winona, Minnesota. It is a dark, dreary, wet, cold, disgusting day outside. So cozy on up to that radio or laptop and listen to some hot takes from the Squeeze here on this Sunday. How you doing, Alec?
Good. Hey, we just have a month left of school, or just a little over a month for the semester, so I'm feeling good. November, it came fast, I think, really fast.
I don't know if I feel good about that because my grades are not looking the best. You're sitting over here with Mr. All A's and
no 3.9.
Okay,
I have an AB.
Oh no, yeah, I need to start turning it around a little bit. You're sitting pretty because it's the semester ending for you today.
I don't know. I need to finish our paper for our
LCT.
class.
I'm not excited about doing that. We gotta get to work on that after the show. But hey, welcome to the Squeeze. I'm pretty excited about the show today. I'm sure you are as well. We have the biggest guest that I think we've ever had on the show before. No offense to any other guests that we've had, but Brandy Blattner is a multi-time All-American in multiple sports. And she's coming on the show later at 10:55. Very excited for that. I'm a little nervous. This is the biggest star that we've ever had on the show.
So I mess up the question.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I had nightmares about it. But then Niels Anderson, who's actually Brandy's uncle by marriage.
Really?
Fun fact. He's coming in at 10:35, and I told him that he's less of a guest at this point. He's more of a correspondent. So he's going to come in and ask us questions, I think. We're going to have a nice little sports conversation. He is the easiest man in the world to talk to, so that's at 10:35. The 16-second squeeze, that happens all throughout the 10 o'clock hour. That is the way that you, the listeners, can win a free Squeeze t-shirt. It is a trivia game. It's a game of margin of victory. Out of the 3 callers throughout the show, whoever has the largest margin of victory over one of our competitors wins the free t-shirt. So listen in at 10:15, 10:30, and around 10:45 for your chance to win a Squeeze t-shirt. I'm loving life. I'm feeling good. I think the show is, we got a lot planned for today. And yesterday, my girlfriend's been here all weekend. This is her first time in Winona, and she's excited to be here. And we went to Rochester yesterday. So
It's a great city.
It is. It's real fun. We got some homework done there. Went to a super nice little cafe kind of thing, and also had the best fancy tacos I've ever had in my life. I believe the place was called Jefe Rojo. That was a great pronunciation, but it was awesome. The steaks, it was pick any steak. The steaks, the tacos were pick any tacos between fish, shrimp, steak, chorizo, chicken, and the steak. I got 2 steak tacos, a fish taco, and a shrimp taco. The steak on the steak taco was medium rare. It looked like it came off of a fillet. It was the best fancy steak taco I've ever had. Nothing beats the food truck, steak that you get in Chicago. But that might have been the best fancy taco I've ever had in my life.
Rochester's that weird city. It's kind of down south of the Twin Cities area, like an hour south, but it's a big city. Really,
it is a big city, 100,000 people, and it's all around Mayo, the Mayo Clinic. Every big building there is a hospital.
No.
But we had a lot of fun. We wanted to get out of Winona because as fun as Winona can be, it is not as fun as Rochester.
No, not at all. There's not really too many big colleges in Rochester, though, so can't really go there. I think there's a couple of community colleges.
Yeah, there's actually University of Minnesota Rochester.
Yeah.
We went to the little mall there. There's a nice mall and some of the fanciest stores I've ever seen in my life. The prices there were a little ridiculous. I see a lot of money over there in Rochester. And also, last week was the first week of track. I do run track here at St. Mary's, and it hurt. I'm still a little bit sore. I rode the bike a little bit yesterday to try to recover, and I'm good. I'm happy to be back, and I'm a little apprehensive. I was a little apprehensive at first coming back, and I'm excited for this season. We practice starting from end of October and then we finish in May. So it is a long haul. I'd almost compare track to football in the fact that it's really a battle of attrition. whoever stays the healthiest is most of the time going to
Is
win.
Becca Dupe healthy?
She is not.
For how long?
So that's the question. And I don't know the answer. Maybe one day we'll get the answer if we have Becca on the show. But I believe that she's definitely out for indoor season, as she has torn her MCL, which is a multi-month surgery recovery process. So she won't be back for the indoor season. She will, however, have a chance, maybe, if rehab goes really well, to come back for outdoors. But I'm not sure that she wants to do that, because if she does that, then she won't be able to compete as a graduate student when she goes to grad school. That's what she's thinking about. So the question is all up to her, and Coach Anderson has not put any pressure on her whatsoever. It is absolutely her choice of what she wants to do. Will she really, use that last year of eligibility here, or save it, get her strength back, and compete at a grad school? So that's a big hit to our track team if she's not competing. She's also an All-American in the triple jump and very close in the long jump as well. So that's a big loss.
How did she hurt it?
It was during soccer.
Really?
It was during a soccer game. Yeah, that's sometimes the problem with multi-sport athletes is you can hurt yourself in your lesser sports and not be able to perform at your peak in your All-American sport.
Yeah.
But we talked about it in sport management class, actually, the specializing in sports. And I had the opinion of basically the sports will specialize to you.
Yeah.
I don't like the parents who force their kids to play one sport from birth. I just don't think that's right. That puts way too much wear and tear on the joints that are associated with that sport. It doesn't open you up to all of these chances to be good at a different sport because your parents are forcing you to play baseball. But I look at it, I use myself as an example. In grade school, I could do every track event: high jump, long jump, sprints, 400s, 800s. I could do it all. And then in high school, well, I couldn't do it all anymore. I was a sprinter and a jumper. And then I got to college and the competition increased. And now I'm only a jumper. I'm no longer a sprinter. So that specialized for me because I wasn't good enough to go to the next level in those other events. And I'm sure you kind of said the same thing with playing hockey all your life.
No, you commented, I think you agreed with me during the presentation. I like hockey a lot more, but sometimes you got to specialize in the sport you don't like as much just because you're better at it. And obviously it's not really your choice if you're better at it.
Yeah.
A lot of people put hard work in and they don't get the outcome. So
exactly. And a lot of times you don't choose the sport you're in, the sport chooses you.
Exactly.
And I used an example of two people who are in my life, one of which they're siblings, and one of which is an Olympic athlete in track and field. And he played basketball in high school up until his junior year. And he was obviously pretty good at track. He's now a decathlete in the Olympics. And his sister only played volleyball in high school. She played softball in grade school, but then stopped in high school, and she burned out in volleyball. And that just shows you what happened. She was, she could have gone D1 just as much as her brother did. She could have gone D1 in volleyball, but she just burned out because it was too much. The all year round travel was it was too much to handle for her. And that happens a lot.
Well, that's the thing. You can still play another sport and still do the sport that you love at the same time. Say if you're a hockey player, you can still do hockey in the summer if you play another sport. You got to set your priorities straight. You might not be able to hang out with your buddies as much because you still have schoolwork and stuff. But again, I think specializing, again, like you said, is not the smartest thing to do because you can still play two sports at once. It's not that big of a deal. You can still train in the off season for other stuff. So you just got to have responsibility.
And that whole conversation was 100% extemporaneous, and that was not planned. So now we're already behind schedule, and we're 9 minutes in. But Alec, I discussed what I did this weekend and this past week. What were you up to?
Not too much. I was on RA duty, so
okay.
It was pretty easy. Had a little police incident that I'm
Uh-oh.
not allowed to talk about.
Not allowed to talk about, no.
But no, I announced a men's hockey game last night
Awesome.
for our cable television, HBC. And
congratulations.
I think we're talking about that later.
We are going to talk about that hockey game later.
Was one of the most fun games I've ever been a part of.
Absolutely.
But next weekend's my fun weekend. I'm going to Penn State Thursday morning for the Penn State-Wisconsin game. Obviously, both teams are 6-3, so
it would have been a lot more fun.
I wish they were both had one loss, got defeated, but I'm going to go with some high school buddies that go to Madison and Winona State just right by me. We're leaving Thursday morning. Hopefully, that's the plan, getting back for the show. So
I sure hope you get back for the show, mister.
I will. I'm telling them that I have priorities.
Yeah, priorities. Squeeze is the priority, or else I'm going to be alone for 2 hours. That will.
I don't want you to do that.
That wouldn't be too fun. So last time we talked, we were yet to crown a World Series champion. That was last Sunday, and then a day later, the Boston Red Sox took that title away from the Dodgers. And we'll talk about a poll that I released on Twitter about being a Dodgers fan, but being a Red Sox fan, being a Boston fan in general, is something that I think we can all strive to be. This is from Boston.com, and it's by Kevin Slane. It's no secret that Boston sports fans have enjoyed an incredible run of success since the Patriots won Super Bowl something in 2002. I don't do Roman numerals. The good times are probably best exemplified by Sign Kid, a 16-year-old who has been holding a poster counting the number of championships in his lifetime at many of Boston's sports victory parades. The sign says, I'm sure you've seen it, the sign says, 16 years old, 11 parades. That's 1 for the Celtics, 1 for the Bruins, 4 for the Red Sox, and 5 for the Patriots.
Ridiculous.
What a spoiled little brat.
Yeah, it's all within that little area. They have that many super. Like if you
All
had
of
season
Boston.
tickets for all of those, you know how fun that would be. I just can't even imagine.
Sports radio in Boston must just be the most exciting thing every single year because you know that one of your teams is going to be in the running for a championship.
And you have a stud on all those teams. You got Tom Brady to look at. You got Chris Sale, David Price to look at. You got Kyrie Irving. You got all those guys.
Mookie Betts is arguably the best player in baseball behind Mike Trout.
Crazy.
Yeah, what a fun sports city. And that got me thinking. So I'm doing a little Excel project. I'm sure Shahid Hussein, our business computer apps professor, would be proud. I'm doing a little Excel project, and I'm going to unveil it next week to figure out what I found. But I'm basically taking the last I'm not 16 years old. I'm 19. The last 19 years of baseball seasons and see what fans have been the most prosperous and if there's a correlation between wins and average salary.
Yeah.
So I'm working on that, and that'll be done next week. And I think I'm going to find some interesting things. The most interesting thing I've found so far, just up the road from Boston, is this little old town called New York City. And in that little old town, they have 2 baseball teams, one of which is the Mets, lol, the other of which is the Yankees. The Yankees, in the 20 seasons that I have been alive, I was a March baby, so technically I was alive for the 1999 baseball season. In the 20 seasons that I have been alive, the New York Yankees have not gone below 500.
It's crazy.
Are you bleeping kidding me? I believe they are 3 total average wins above the next best team, which is the Red Sox.
Exactly.
So Northeastern baseball, just nothing but spoiled brat.
You know what makes me mad too? They can talk about the curse of the great Bambino. Like being a Twins fan, we could say we're cursed throughout our whole history. Like they have all these championships. They have their Patriots, they have their Celtics, they have their Bruins, and that's what makes me mad. If they don't win a couple championships, they'll say, "Oh, we're cursed. We're cursed." Like no, it's so hard to win a championship. And like you said, 16. Oh, that I can't even. I dream of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fan.
Absolutely. I mean, if you were going to tell me that I for the next 16 years of my life, 11 championships were going to take place, I would sign up right away. And I think every other sports fan would as well. Sticking in Boston, our good old buddy Marchand, what's his first name?
Marchand,
the Boston Bruin.
Oh, Brad Marchand.
Marchand, there we go. NHL expert right here.
Marshawn Lynch or something.
Yeah, Marchand. He's
gone.
He was up to some more antics this weekend, and you were telling me about that a little earlier.
Yeah.
What's new for Mr. Liquor Marchand?
Oh, talking about Boston Bruins, Brad Marchand. As some of you may know, 6 months ago, he got in a little dispute with Ryan Callahan for the Tampa Bay Lightning, decided to lick the guy. They were in a little scuffle, and he licked the guy. That is, again, in hockey, you kind of have your open cages. You are able to lick the guy.
So that's the equivalent of Alec and I arguing last week and me just deciding to take the microphones away, look into the camera, and lick him.
Yeah, it's just not right. And then last night, he was going one-on-one with a Predators player that he high-sticked, and the guy kind of flopped. And then Marchand decided to mock him just in the middle of the play and just fell right on his knees. So, again, I just want to say I hate this guy so much. I don't know if I can't swear, but I hate him
No,
so
you
much.
definitely can't swear.
But
You were close, weren't you?
is there any other sport leagues that you like really hate a player?
A player. Well, let me think. So when I was a kid and the Bulls were the Bulls and they were actually good and Derrick Rose was winning MVPs and Rookie of the Year, I hated LeBron, and that was because he was just so gosh darn good. I don't hate LeBron anymore. LeBron is one of my favorite players, and I think he's better than Michael Jordan. But I don't know if I have just one hated player that I totally dislike for his actions on the court or on the ice or on the field. I don't know. Maybe Manny Machado, but I should probably bite my tongue because what happens if Manny Machado's a Cub? So I'm not going to say that I hate.
Would you like him then?
I would like him. Yeah, I think you would like him too if he was a Minnesota Twin. Any fan.
I don't like any Minnesota Twin right now.
Any righteous fan who tells me that if Manny Machado was on their team, they wouldn't like him. That's a little. I think you're telling a fib there.
Yeah, we'll stick with MLB free agency. It's going to be big. What do you think, Cubs? What are your predictions?
I mean, predictions. I think the most reasonable prediction is that they sign the 30-year-old second baseman from Colorado, DJ LeMahieu, former Cub, actually in the minor league system. They need an infielder and they need a consistent bat, and that's exactly what DJ LeMahieu has been over the course of his career. What I want to happen is sign good old Bryce Harper. I don't think it's going to happen. That's $300 million that you don't really have to spend. I believe they have $10 million left before they go over the luxury tax. You're not going to get Bryce Harper for $10 million a year. So reasonable expectation is I think DJ LeMahieu, maybe a couple other pieces will be Cubs by the end of the offseason. But what I really want to happen is Bryce Harper in a Cubs uniform.
Yeah, just looking at other names, Patrick Corbin, pitcher for Diamondbacks, Machado, Harper, Keuchel for the Astros. He's a free agent. Craig Kimbrell.
I'd be surprised if Craig Kimbrell gets a big contract this offseason. He's 32 years old. He's a closing pitcher. He didn't perform too well in the playoffs, and closing pitchers in general don't age very well, especially guys who throw like Craig Kimbrell, which is upper 90s, 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. Those don't always age well. So I think he's on the downhill of his career. I'll be surprised if some team, some contending team, gives him a big contract. Maybe some team like the Twins or the Padres or something might give him a big contract, but I don't think a contending team will.
Josh Donaldson, what happened there? He was so good. Did he kind of have a down year? I didn't look at his stats too much, but
he was hurt all season, and then he was traded to the Indians while he was still hurt, which I believe is not legal.
Exactly.
That was kind of funny. They fudged the numbers on that one a little bit, but he had a down year. He was hurt. He's lower 30s. I think he might be 33 or 33. Okay, so again, we saw it last offseason in baseball. Teams are not going to give the 30-year-old players. They're not going to give the 30-year-old players and up those giant contracts.
Look at Jose Bautista when he was a stud, and then
he
nothing.
He got a minor league contract, and that's absolutely it, because teams understand the value of building up a prospect or of using a cost-controlled player in place of a guy who might not perform. Just look at the Albert Pujols contract with the Angels. That's probably not going to happen anymore. What's so amazing about Machado and Harper this season, which is why they're going to get $300 million contracts, is because they're both 27 years old. This is honestly remarkable. I think Machado was a couple days younger than Harper, but the fact that you're getting these two they won't be cost controlled. They'll be very highly cost controlled once they sign the contract. But the fact that you're getting these guys at the peak of their prime, they're both going to be seeing dollar signs all offseason.
Brian, I don't know if you're too familiar with Brian Dozier, though. That story is so funny. Twins traded him to the Dodgers. First two games, went 4 for 5. I think he went 3 for 5, hit a homer in each game, and then didn't even start for the Dodgers the rest of the season. It was the funniest situation, but he's a free agent as well, so it'll be interesting to see what
he's old,
he does. Right? Yeah, 31. Yeah.
I guess I can't use the word old. Scott Pasquazi in the chat, better than Jordan? Yes, we can discuss that later in the show once we take calls. But I believe LeBron James is better than Jordan. It's I love saying it, but it's the whole Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers conversation. It's very parallel to the Jordan LeBron conversation. LeBron James is the best basketball player to ever play basketball. Does that mean he's as accomplished as Jordan? Maybe not. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback to ever quarterback in the NFL. He's the best person to ever throw a football in the history of football. Tom Brady is the most accomplished. So it depends on how you look at it. And I don't know how old Scott Pasquesi is. Just kidding. It's my dad. I'm not going to try to break that fourth wall. He lived in the time of Jordan, and I did not. So I guess I didn't get to see his greatness, and I'm learning about LeBron's greatness firsthand. I see it every single night. So that maybe I'm a bit biased, but yeah, that's just my opinion. I think LeBron James is the best basketball player in the history.
Every single sport,
of
what
the
I
world.
think that just the competition for every sport has just rose, and I just don't think that Jordan in this age with this caliber of players, I don't think him going against the Golden State Warriors, I do not think he would be as dominant as LeBron would be, not even close.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? The 98 Bulls would get destroyed by the Warriors. They wouldn't know what hit them.
Yeah.
I mean, Klay Thompson scored 53 points on 5 dribbles.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's honestly just, it's a different sport almost at this point.
Hockey with Wayne Gretzky, and I don't know if you're familiar with Connor McDavid, but he's a new star.
Yeah.
He's the real deal.
Something special.
But I think the pace, especially in hockey and basketball and even football, is just so much slower. So I got LeBron James.
So from professional studs to our homegrown studs right here at St. Mary's University, we will be talking to Brandi Blattner at 10:55. And I wanted to do some pre-interview research and let you guys know just how good that Brandi Blattner is. She's a senior from Eota, Minnesota, which is actually just up the road. If you're going to Rochester, you go right through Eota, Minnesota. She went to Dover Eota High School. She's a 2-time All-American, once in volleyball and once in basketball. She's a preseason All-American in basketball this season,
Yep.
1-time All-Region in volleyball, 2-time All-MIAC, 4-time MIAC Hitter of the Week, and 2-time Academic All-MIAC. That's only volleyball, folks. Holds the single-game SMU records in kills with 31 against Bethel in 2016 and attacks with 81 against Nebraska Wesleyan in 2016 as well. That was her career year, and that was her All-American year in volleyball. Career all-time rankings here at SMU. 4th in kills per set with 3.5. 5th in attack attempts with 3,440. And 10th all-time in points per set with 3.74. She also holds the single-season record in kills per set with 4.454, which was in that 2016 season. And that was only volleyball. I mean, just think about that. That's an accomplished career in itself, and she has a whole other sport that she still isn't done with. First, she's a 1-time first-team All-Region, 1-time second-team All-Region, 1-time third-team All-Region, West Region Rookie of the Year her freshman year. She's 3-time All-MIAC, 1-time All-MIAC defensive team. Holy cow, I wish I had this rap sheet and track. Are you kidding me? She has averaged a double-double throughout her entire career through 3 years with 16 points per game and 10.1 rebounds per game. She holds single-game records. She's 3rd all-time with points with 30 against Augsburg last season and holds the record in rebounds with 20 in one game against McAllister also last season. Career all-time rankings in SMU history. She's the all-time leader in defensive rebound average with 6.3. She's 2nd in rebounding average with 10.1. 2nd in minutes average with 33.8. Wow, that's a lot of basketball to be played over the course of a career. 4th in scoring average with 16 points per game. 5th all-time in rebounds. Remember, she has a whole entire season left. She's already 5th all-time in rebounds with 749. And she's 8th all-time in points with 1,183. And again, remember, she still has a season to go. Last season, played the 2nd most minutes ever in the history of SMU with 946. This is a special athlete that we have coming in here at 10:55. Stay tuned. Tell your friends. Tweet about it at The Squeeze 4. And subscribe to us on YouTube at Anthony Pasquesi. We're going to take it to break here. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi, produced by Alec Rude. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Vasquez, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus, and translator K232CZ 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR, KSMR Real College Radio. We were so excited. We had such a long opening segment that I forgot to ask for a 16-second squeeze call. So 507-457-1615, we're going to do the first ever live pickup of a 16-second squeeze call, 507-457-1615. This is your chance, listeners, to win that free squeeze t-shirt. I know it's highly coveted on the St. Mary's campus. We had a couple sightings. I saw Robbie Sabzak wearing his. You said Josh Ballstiger wears his.
A lot.
Okay, so there we go. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. If you want to win a free squeeze t-shirt, we want to hear from you. 507-457-1615. Niels Anderson is my track coach. He'll be in at 10:35. So bear with us there for that little transition when he arrives. He's probably just going to hop right in because he is a natural. 507-457-1615. You already kind of heard about the hockey game yesterday, last night to be specific. And Alec Root was up there with Professor Dean Beckman on the HBC cable broadcast. It was live and it was exciting. Want to tell the people about the broadcast a little before we talk about the game?
Yeah, no, the broadcasting, that was my first time ever being on live TV. And again, I got there and I saw like the screen and I saw like instant replay. You can press a button if you cough or something, so your mic will turn on. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the real deal.
There you go.
So no, Dean Beckman, he's our beginning news writer professor. He is just probably the nicest man I've met at this campus. He will do anything for you. I'm sure he's helping you with your new communications major. Yeah. He just does everything. So announcing with him, it's easy because he leads me in the right direction. But again, talking about the game, that game was unbelievable. Almost the whole school, it seemed like, was there. There were so many students there. But St. Thomas came in 15th in the nation. Again,
we had just tied him the night before.
Yeah, but you guys got to remember, there's no D2 hockey. So that's the thing. These guys, many of these players have gotten D1 offers, but they want to play D3 hockey because they'll play. They won't sit on the bench. So that's what everyone has to remember. There's no D2 hockey. So like these are the best. St. Thomas has many kids that I watch because Minnesota high school hockey. It's I don't know if you heard, but it's huge.
Yeah, you told me.
22,000 people at the state hockey tournament. That's my biggest thing. But yeah, it was a great game. St. Thomas was up 2-0 after 2. St. Mary's then came back with goals from DeBacco, Liverence, and Hatton. And the Cardinals were up 3-2. And then Al Rogers, the goalie, let in a couple that he probably would like back. And then St. Thomas scored 3 goals in the last 3:08. And we lost 5-3. It was just very disappointing. The whole place was silent after that. I don't know what you thought about after those. You were by the net by those goals.
Yeah, I wasn't sitting in the student section. I was trying to pay attention to the game because that's the problem with sitting in that rowdy student section. You don't always pay attention, and I wanted to for the show today. Wow. So they waltz in and they score 2 goals in the first period. And it's 2-0 St. Thomas, and it's not feeling too good. No, I will say, though,
we're going to get crushed after
I thought we were too. The first period, the Tommies had the puck possession the whole time. All right, here we go. 507-457. Here's the squeeze. Hopefully, we'll just answer the phone right away. Hey, what's your name and where are you from? You're on the squeeze.
Hi, Christina from Chicago.
Christina from Chicago, multi-time winner, long-time listener, long-time caller. You can pick between yourself or Jack. So I'm actually going to make you do Jack. Jack had 16 seconds to name as many types of milk as he could. 16 seconds, types of milk, ready.
Brands or like types of milk?
Types of milk. Like, not brands, types. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Whole milk, skim milk, 2%, almond milk, nut milk, oat milk, lactose milk, like lactose-free milk.
And that's it. Okay. I got 7.
7 as well.
Is oat milk a milk, Christina? Please.
Yes, it is.
Are you sure?
Yes.
And is nut milk a milk?
Yes, it is.
So, like, literal, if I Google nut milk, that will be a real type of milk.
Yes.
Okay, I'll trust you. So that's 7 for Christina. Thanks for calling. stay tuned and keep listening to find out if you win that free Squeeze t-shirt.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was Christina with a very, very respectable 7. Now Jack Pierzak had 16 seconds to name as many types of milk as he can, and oh boy, did he try.
Soy milk, almond milk, regular milk, chocolate milk, strawberry milk, goat milk, breast milk. I don't know. I don't know if I can even.
Well, I Googled it, and I can use it. We're not going to say it again, just in case, but he did, he got 7, so Christina got 7.
Even.
So they're even. So we might
Don't
have
mind
we might have a 0 winner today. We got our first positive winner last weekend. But yeah, you have anything to say about Jack's answers?
If you guys heard the last answer, I don't know what was going through that kid's head.
Yeah, I don't know. He said that he went from goat milk directly to
The beef milk.
yeah, that milk. And then he just kind of let it hang there. I mean, he just let it hung there, let it hang
He
there.
wanted to finish with that bag.
He just there was 7 seconds of silence after he said the breast milk. So Niels, you want to come on into the studio? We're getting ready to talk to our friend of the show and my track coach, Niels Anderson. He's always a joy to have in studio. He's one of the favorites of my father.
Oh, nice.
And here we go. Niels, thank
I
you.
got my Squeeze
He's-
t-shirt on.
He's wearing his Squeeze t-shirt. Yeah, he actually won in the 16-second squeeze.
Correct.
So
Yeah, I had -1.
-1.
-1, right.
If I do remember correctly, you were the first winner of a Squeeze t-shirt ever.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first week. And
First week. Yep.
What an honor.
I will forever wear this shirt proudly. So there's holes in it, and it's worn straight through, and I have to go win another one.
Well, eventually
That's the idea.
your goal is that you'll be able to sell it for some
Oh,
money.
absolutely. This will be an original.
Yeah.
And when you guys hit the big time, I'll at least I think I'll probably keep it as a keepsake. But if it gets up there,
What is the price you think?
I don't. Every man has his price, so
I don't
think
know.
maybe mine would be. I don't know.
Couple thousand.
Yeah, I think once it reaches Caribbean, like a house on the Caribbean, that's
You got to buy an
probably it.
island first.
That's right. Yeah. Once I kind of get there, that's probably when it all.
Okay. I
shut
mean,
down.
I think maybe eventually, possibly.
Let's
will
go.
get
Let's
there.
make it happen.
We'll get there.
It's happening right here. This will be fun. This will be the modest beginnings, and then to go from here to the next place is what's going to be super fun to watch. Where this all leads to. I feel like this is I was talking to you earlier a little bit about like how you get to utilize this time as a chance to grow into the voice that you want to have on the show for both you guys, and then I don't feel like this is the end of something. I feel like this is the very beginning of something. So I'm really excited about where this is going to go and who you guys are going to be. And I'll just be I'll be like Dan Lebatard's dad. I'll do all of those voiceovers. I'll do all those fun. Hey, it's time to pay the sponsors guy. I could be that guy. I'll just be that guy that kind of comes in every once in a while and,
Yeah, you were on the ground floor. You were on the
yeah, you better keep me as part of it. I'll do it all for free. You don't ever have to worry about paying.
Well, I mean, until we aren't doing it for free, you're definitely going to be doing it.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So who knows how long that'll be.
Okay, well, correspondent Niels Anderson, what do you
Yeah.
got for us today?
Well, let's see. It was kind of interesting. Last night, I went to a high school. Well, I went to the high school state championships yesterday for cross country, and then I
wow.
also went to the high school football game that night where my nephew was playing. And I hear you have my niece coming up here a little bit later, Brandy Blattner.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of my favorite things to say. I do these. So I brag about my my relatives quite a bit, and so obviously every time I go on a tour, I see Brandy all over the place.
All
So-
over.
So I was just I was just thinking about how Brandy's coming on, and I got to see my nephew Blake play some football last night, and got to watch the state champ. So I got a lot of high school sports in me yesterday. It was a little chilly, a little cold one, but it was a lot of fun. And then just got me thinking about Brandy and how awesome it's been for her to be here for 4 years, and had a lot of great connections that way. So I was just reminiscing a little bit, just doing some reminiscing about all the good things that she's done. And again, I get to do all these tours with my athletes, with these recruits and everything. And she's kind of everywhere on campus right now. She's got 3 of those banners, and she's got a picture in the Cardinal Lounge. And so it's pretty funny because by the end of a tour, I go, oh, by the way, that's my niece. And they're like, yeah, we know. We heard enough. And then my nephew, my older nephew here, Brett, he is doing his master's work for that master's in teaching, the 4+1 program. Okay. He's doing the +1 part of it, and it's really hilarious because he's the older brother, but nobody knows who he is.
I didn't even know he was here.
Right, exactly. So of course he gets announced as Brandy's brother.
No,
it's not the other way around at all. So it's really hilarious. So I constantly pick on, and so then last night at the game, Blake was playing, and he was getting a ton of love because he was just getting tackle after tackle. So you keep hearing the name, and I go, hey, you guys, you're Blake's brother tonight. And he was the youngest, and I'm the youngest. So that's where it all comes full circle. Where my dad was the president of the college I went to.
Oh,
my brother was a senior when I was a freshman. So I was always the little guy that never got any attention. And so I think that's probably where my personality is partly evolved from,
Yeah. And you sounds like you have a very tight-knit family
very
nucleus over there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And she actually, we wanted to get her on the show last weekend, and she was super psyched to do it, but when she found out it was early in the morning, she realized she couldn't because she was at her brother's football game. So
that's
she was
right.
there
that's
last
exactly.
week.
And she was there last night. So so we're still thawing out. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's Iota, just up the road.
Yeah, Dover Iota. She's from just that southeast Minnesota conduit that we try to get so many of our kids from. That's obviously our top priority when we're recruiting, that we get our area. That's obviously really important.
And then, of course, the west side of Chicago.
And then we just dip slightly south and east down to Chicago. So, it's, when you start talking about recruiting and where we get our kids from, obviously southeast Minnesota, western Wisconsin, and then we do go down to Chicago quite a bit because, we're a Catholic school. There's that connection. Seems like people want to get out of Chicago a little bit. They don't mind that little extra drive. It's I-90 the whole way.
Yeah,
it's a one-stop
real
shop
simple
here. Yeah. So
maybe you go down to Chicago enough. Maybe we can get the track team down to Chicago once.
Let's do
once
it.
a
Let's
year.
go.
I asked Coach Cody about it. He said that he'll make sure that never happens. So
well, I don't know.
A little sad about
what's
that.
What's his status here? He's the assistant coach.
Here we go.
I should be getting a phone call or a text any moment right now.
Let's make that happen. Let's go down to Chicago.
That would be awesome. I would love it.
That would be quite fun.
That would be awesome.
So you're a Vikings fan?
I am, yeah.
So is Alec, and we got into a little heated conversation on Sunday. I don't know if you heard, but I want to put it out there. I'm going to continue to put it out there. The Bears have a point differential of +58, which is pretty good. That's best for 4th in the NFL. And the Vikings have a point differential of +1.
Ooh.
So to me, that sounds like the Bears are the better team. But Alec seems to disagree. What's your opinion?
Head to head, I would say that Alex Trubisky had one phenomenal game, and they destroyed their opponent.
That was the
and
Buccaneers.
and that is swaying your statistics ever so slightly. And if you look at who the Vikings have played, other than that Buffalo game,
That's the
there's
biggest
the outlier.
one.
Yeah,
Let's
there's
just
that
put
outlier.
out there. These are the 4 wins for the Bears. Seahawks, who are
Junk,
Cardinals,
double junk.
Buccaneers, and the Jets. That's the 4 wins right there.
But
That's
then
your
look,
evidence?
How many playoff teams are in there?
look at the 3 losses.
Okay.
It's a 1-point game against Aaron Rodgers in the performance of his
where the
career.
Vikings tied.
It's okay. Yeah, the Vikings lost to the Bills. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
By a lot
Bears
to a
will lose
little.
to the Bills today.
The other losses are the Patriots. So that's, that was a 1-touchdown game. That was a
Sure.
pretty good one. And then the other loss was the Dolphins. that hurts a little bit, but again, one possession game.
Brock
What I'm-
Osweiler is a good
They,
quarterback.
shush. They've been within one possession of every team that they've lost to. The Vikings have not. So although they do have that outlier positively swaying them in that direction, they do not have the outlier going in the other direction because they're not going to get blown out because they're a better team.
I will say that I think I'm going to go with not any metrics. You're using all the metrics. You're using all the data, and I'm just looking at the teams.
Eye test.
I'm going to do the whole eye test on this one and say that the Vikings are. I look at last week, and that was not my best example against the Saints, but I still say their greater upside is with the Vikings, even though I think the Bears are riding this little, hey, we got a chip on our shoulder, no one thinks we're any good, and they're producing a little bit more oomph to their game, like game plans and such. And the Vikings had all the expectations, the weight of the world, the target on their shoulder, on their chest, whatever. And so then, I think that has had somewhat of an impact. I think the second half of the season, this is my prediction, is that the Vikings go 6-2, 5-3, and the Bears are going to go 3-5, 2-6, something like that.
I said 9-7 for the Bears.
I think it's all going to fall apart personally.
So at this point, they will beat the Bills today. That they're a 10-point favorite.
Wait, is it at the Bills?
It's at the Bills.
It could get interesting.
They're a 10-point favorite on the road. That means if it was at Soldier Field, they'd be a 2-touchdown favorite. That's remarkable. That's not just because the Bills are a terrible team. That's because Vegas thinks the Bears are a good team. Okay, so after they beat the Bills today, they'll be 5-3. That's through 8 games, which means there are 8 games remaining. I've put the schedule up a couple times to Alec, and I said, find me 4 losses, and I can't do it. I cannot find myself 4 losses in that schedule.
Okay,
You play the Lions twice. You play the Vikings twice.
Yep.
You play the Saints. No, do you play the Saints? You play the Rams.
That's a loss.
Okay, the Rams is
Really?
most likely a loss, which is fine. Just find me
The
4
Rams
losses.
are due for a loss.
I think it might.
Aaron
come today.
Rodgers gets that ball back off that fumble from last week, and that was their first L.
Yeah.
And if the Packers are, I think the Packers are very pedestrian without.
Yeah.
We've all seen that. I went to the first game as the Derek, or what was the Huntley? What was his first name? I can't remember. Yeah, no one remembers his first name. Anyway, I went to that first game of the Huntley era there. If you want to call it an era, I don't know what a shorter than an era is, but lower than an era. And it was that team without Aaron Rodgers
They're not a good team.
they're not a good team. And so you kind of see that and you go, but I do think that the Bears feel like they're in trouble if Aaron Rodgers has the ball. But anyway, I don't know. I can see, I just don't trust them.
Yeah, I get it.
I just don't trust the Bears yet. I don't think they can go quite have that remarkable turnaround that they think that they're on the midst of. I think it's a bubble. It's a blip. It's going to pop.
I don't know. Look at the Rams blueprint from last year.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams blueprint was get a young coach to replace the old coach, Sean McVay, Jeff Fisher. Have your new franchise quarterback that you just drafted in his second year have a pretty good year. And guess what? Mitch Trubisky statistically is having a better season than Jared Goff did last year. Go out and have your stud wide receiver, Sammy Watkins. Okay? So that was their blueprint. They made it to the wild card game, I think, last season.
Yeah.
The Bears followed that exact blueprint. They went out. They got their young coach to replace their old coach, Matt Nagy, John Fox. They have their franchise quarterback in their second year, who, again, is having a better season than Jared Goff in his second year. And they went out and got their moneymakers, Taylor Gabriel, Trey Burton, Allen Robinson. And it's working.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald for the Rams, Khalil Mack for the Bears. The Bears are honestly 3 plays away from being undefeated right now. They could also be 3 plays away from being 0-7 because that's how the NFL works.
Right.
But I've watched this team a lot this year, and I've heard about this team a lot this year. A lot of people aren't trusting them, and I just don't see why.
I basically would say Yeah, the one game I've watched toe to toe was that Packers game.
Yeah.
And obviously they should have
They should have won.
that game. And so and I think that's why I don't trust them. Maybe I'm just basing it
It could
off
be.
of the fact that a superior quarterback play will be the thing that is their undoing. I don't know.
I think it's the running back and wide receiver position. Todd Gurley compared to Jordan Howard. And
Yeah.
Jordan Howard has 392 rushing yards.
Yeah, but
through
look
7 games.
Tariq Cohen too. You got to kind of.
Still,
Yeah,
him compared
yeah.
to Todd Gurley, I'd take 2
Yeah.
Todd Gurley.
I'd take.
And then wide receivers, 2 of the Rams, like Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. Like Allen Robinson hasn't done much.
Yeah, he's actually hurt. He's out. But
Yeah.
Taylor Gabriel has had a breakout year, and Trey Burton has been.
Still, I would take 3 Rams wide receivers over any Bears wide receiver. That's my take. Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods, they've been going off.
But what matters most in the NFL? Quarterbacks. And who has the better quarterback at this point? The Bears do.
I don't think.
I think they do. They're on. Mitch
Do you
Trubisky's
think-
on pace to be better than Jared Goff.
But what about, do you think he's better? I mean, this originated with Kirk Cousins. Do you think he's better than Kirk Cousins right now? Trubisky?
Probably.
Not a
Oh,
chance.
okay. So that might be where your whole
I'm a
argument
little
falls.
biased. I got to
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
the numbers. I haven't looked at
Yeah.
the numbers. I don't know. how
I
Kirk
just
Cousins
think
is doing.
he's a more established veteran.
Yeah.
And he is smarter. Just like a smarter quarterback. I think of Kirk as a pretty smart quarterback. He has his he has his weird moments. I'm a huge Kirk Cousins fan because I
Okay.
just love his passion and
Yeah.
energy and all those kinds of things.
Trubisky's only faced the Seahawks defense. Like that's the only good D he's faced. And the Bills have a good D, so
They do.
today we'll see more.
So give me Kirk Cousins touchdowns to interceptions. I believe Mitch Trubisky has
Yeah.
only thrown 5 interceptions this season.
Yeah, I'll look at Trubisky quick.
I think my biggest problem in this whole thing is
They haven't played each other yet.
they haven't played each other yet, so I think that could be a wash. I mean, I think that could be a 1-1 home and home kind of a thing. I just have not seen. I mean, how long has it been since the Bears have been good?
2006.
Yeah, I think that's my problem. Is I have a 12-year drought and not just they're not good, but they self-implode. It's like ineptitude from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's changed now. Maybe that's kind of I guess I'm still in the wait and see.
I see. Yeah, you
So
just don't
that's-
trust him.
I
yet.
don't trust him.
And why
That's
would
it.
you? You're not a fan of that.
I'm not a fan. I haven't ever seen it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the turnaround. I've seen moments where they're okay. It's all of that. Now, you're just all the things you're saying are probably pretty accurate, that they've got a lot of good pieces in place. That Khalil Mack trade was amazing. They got some really good offseason acquisitions, all that kind of stuff. It all seems to be going in the right direction, but it's kind of like the lovable losers of the Cubs until they did it.
Yeah. No one
I
trusted him.
kind of got pigeonholed in believing they never would.
Yeah.
And I think I have a little bit of Cubitis with the Bears.
Okay.
But now the Cubs are, other than this year. Sorry
Mhm.
to bring that up.
Yes. I do remember sitting here talking about
Yeah,
last year.
that was the day after, I think.
Yeah,
So hopefully that wound is not quite so fresh.
no,
but-
it's fine.
Touchdown interception ratio: Cousins 16-4, Trubisky 15-6, and Cousins has 700 more passing yards.
There we go.
Okay, but how many rushing yards did Mitch Trubisky have to Kirk Cousins? Mitch Trubisky is the leading rusher in the NFL, I think.
296 Trubisky,
Mm.
and then Cousins has, 78.
Yeah.
There's a little bit.
There's
of that.
just
Yeah, that's young legs. That'll.
the comp that I've seen with Mitch Trubisky is a young Aaron Rodgers.
The good quarterbacks, though, they just don't rush. Like Brady,
Aaron Rodgers does.
Not really.
Yes, he's one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the NFL. That's why he's been so good. That's why I say he's the best quarterback ever, because he has the ability to rush out of the pocket and still throw a bomb 80 yards downfield.
Drew Brees and Brady, like them two, though, they don't rush too often.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think they're as good of quarterbacks as Aaron Rodgers. I want my quarterback not to be Cam Newton or Michael Vick, where you're taking hits, or even Deshaun Watson. I don't want that. But if you have the ability to keep your eyes up and head out of the pocket and throw downfield, that's what you want in a quarterback.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I
No,
can
I
agree
mean,
with
Mitchell
that.
is. I don't see him as a perennial rushing quarterback, though. I mean, I think he's getting flushed out of the pocket and kind of
He's fast.
running for his life a little bit. Those are some of those. Yeah.
I just hope he
I
doesn't.
think obviously he's a good athlete.
I hope he doesn't like turn out like an Andy Dalton, like just
Yeah.
a guy that started
Middling
okay,
guy,
and then
yeah.
they're just like, he's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, you have
Yeah.
been listening to
Yeah.
The Squeeze. You've been listening to Niels Anderson. He's the head track and field and cross country coach here at St. Mary's. 507-457-1615 is the phone number for the 16-second squeeze. 507-457-1615. Christina is on the board with a 0 right now. She is in the lead.
Good job, Christine.
507-457-1615. You are listening to The Squeeze. We're going to send it to break here. Thank you, Niels, for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Anytime.
And I'll see you tomorrow out there on the track.
That's exactly right.
507-457-1615 is the phone number if you want to win a free Squeeze t-shirt. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. Thank you so much again to my coach, Niels Anderson, friend of the show. Long time, many appearances here on The Squeeze. And here's a first-time appearance, Niels' niece and multi-time All-American athlete, Brandy Blattner. Brandy, thank you so much for sitting in with us today. Say hello to the people.
Hey, everyone.
There we go. Perfect. So I already told you that I told everybody about your many accomplishments here at St. Mary's. Multi-time All-American, multi-time All-MIAC, All-Region, Player of the Week. Does it ever wear off when you get an honor, or what do you feel like when you find out that you're preseason All-American for Division III basketball?
It's such a great honor to receive like all those accomplishments, and like I couldn't have done it without like all my players on the past teams I played with, and just like I just focus on the now moment. It's amazing to experience that type of accomplishment, but I just like to focus on the future and like what I can do to be better, and like just do my best.
Absolutely.
And I had a quick thing too. This is what I really wanted to ask you. Like, I just hear kind of around school, like some people come up to you and they'll joke around like all American and stuff. Do you ever get tired of like people that joke around? Because like that's what I kind of hear of, like people that they like joke around, like just when I see like around campus, because obviously we're a close campus. But do you ever get tired of just people like making jokes about that, or do you kind of like understand it a little bit?
Yeah, I understand a little bit. I mean, it's really cool. I don't like to like show off to say
Exactly.
like, hey, I'm All-American, but it's cool. It's for people to like recognize that. So
It's tough to be humble when you're that good. we don't have to be humble for you, but it's good to stay, remember where you came from and understand your roots. Has there ever been a time, you're a two-sport athlete, has there ever been a time where maybe someone tried to push you to one sport or the other, or has it always been you're pretty good at both, so that's why you kept going?
Well, my family is mostly into basketball. So like when I first started off like with my sport, I mostly started off with basketball in 3rd grade, and then like volleyball started off in 7th grade. And it's mostly just been basketball. But then like I really got to enjoy volleyball ever since I first started, and my mom pushed me into that.
Yeah.
But now everyone just encourages me to do the best in each, and I like playing both. That's why I came here, so I couldn't hang up the towel for one or the other.
That's awesome. And it's nice that they're in different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Do your coaches understand? Does your basketball coach understand that you need a little time off sometimes?
Oh, yeah. We have a new coach this year, and he played 2 sports in his college career, so he understands that. And like past coaches as well have understood. And just with the help of the coaches and my teammates, I get back into it right away.
So 2016 was your best volleyball season ever. That was a couple seasons ago, and it was one of the best volleyball seasons ever in the history of St. Mary's sports. What was going right that year that maybe was different from your other 3 seasons?
Just as a team-wise, I think we just clicked really well. We had a lot of talented players in each position, and that's the year where I actually got to play most of the time, and then I played all the way around. And I don't know, it was just a fun group of girls. The coaching was well, and it's just a fun atmosphere to play in.
Absolutely. And basketball, you have been a part of probably the best team on campus the last 4 years.
Probably highest expectations.
Yeah, it is the women's basketball team. Most teams here at St. Mary's don't have any expectations, but we do expect every season that the women's basketball team is going to make it to the Final Four in the MIAC, and you have not disappointed. What has it been like to be on one of the best teams at St. Mary's in the women's basketball team?
It's been great. We've had a lot of talent that's came in. Unfortunately, this year we've lost a couple of our players already due to injuries, one with an ACL, one with a broken finger, and she's out for 2 months.
Okay.
And yeah, so we'll just have to like pull everyone together and figure out what we're going to do. But just throughout these last years here, we've had great coaching. Like everyone's dedicated to the program. It's just been fun to compete at the highest level. Yeah.
And you lost a really good senior last year, Alexa Huseman.
Yes.
That was she was Lex Curry for sure. She had the outside shot and you had the inside all the time. You said who are the 2 players who are injured this year?
Shaylee She tore her ACL
Oh, wow,
just in
okay.
practice. Yeah, and then Abby Winter tore
Okay.
her, or not tore her. She broke her finger, but she'll be back in December hopefully.
Okay.
Those are two key players. Up there.
Yeah,
I've
two
been a-
starters.
Yeah, but you know what? Next man up. This is a really young team. You have a lot of freshmen coming in last year,
Mhm.
and that should be exciting. And maybe instead of playing 34 minutes a game, which you've been averaging over your career, you'll just play all 40.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I mean, it would be a lot of work.
I think you could do it probably, right? So I'm gonna name some of the accomplishments in basketball because I understand basketball a little bit more. You have averaged a double-double throughout your entire career, 16 points per game and 10.1 rebounds per game, which is mind-boggling. Career all-time rankings, your first all-time in defensive rebound average with 6.3, your second all-time in rebounding average with 10.1, your fifth all-time in career rebounds, and you still have a season left, and your eighth all-time in career points. And again, you still have a full season left. What can we expect from Brandy Blattner this basketball season?
I mean, I'm just gonna give it all I got since it's my last season.
Last go around.
I mean, ending my volleyball career, it's sad to see that it's over, but like just with all the accomplishments with everyone, it's been an amazing experience. And for basketball this year, I'm just going to go in playing how I usually play. Rebounding is one of the key opponents of my game, so I always go in there playing everything I got. I just don't want anyone else touching that ball when I get shot up.
It's your ball.
So,
It's
yeah.
Brandy's ball.
My dad always told me, like, as soon as the ball touches your hand, it's yours. And like I just have that mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And you
Your
Yeah.
family, they like basketball. Do you like
Yes.
basketball the most? Like, obviously, you don't want to disappoint the volleyball team, but do you
Well,
like basketball more than volleyball?
I always get asked this question, but
Okay.
I would say like it kind of depends like on what season I'm in.
Okay.
Just because I want to focus on that one sport at the time. But I've always just really enjoyed basketball too. Just like past experience, we won the state championship my
wow.
senior year in high school.
That's awesome.
So that was really cool.
I'm sure you were a big part in that as well.
Yeah, I came back from an ACL injury.
Oh
Actually.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then did you played in that season?
Yes. So I tore
Okay.
my ACL my junior year in high school, and then
Wow.
I came back. So.
And
Our sports management type class, we talk about specializing in sports. What is your take on that? Obviously, a two-sport athlete. Do you believe like specializing? Like we talked about it a little bit, but what do you kind of think? Like, just kind of your aspect. We kind of talked about, is it right to like specialize in one sport in high school? Like, how is two sports like such a big impact for you? And like, what's your take on specializing? Would you say?
Just for me personally, I like to be like well-rounded.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's awesome for people to dedicate their life to like one sport, but just for me, like you just get the opportunity to be with other teams, compete against like high competitions in both sports.
Exactly.
So that's just my
Cool.
take on
Yeah.
that.
And so you said you won the state championship in basketball in high school. That kind of makes me think, were you recruited anywhere else? What got you here? What got you to St. Mary's?
Good question.
Well, I was recruited from other D2 schools. I was recruited by Winona State and Mankato, and I was actually pretty set on going to Winona State. But
Wow.
then just something brought me here. It was like the coaching and just the environment. I loved being here. I liked the small knit community. I'm from a small town, so it's just really nice to be so welcomed by everyone. And like I said earlier, I just didn't want to give up the towel for one sport. So
Yeah.
here I am playing both.
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, I've had so many opportunities playing with people I love and just now that are my family.
So I mean, it sounds like you're happy with your decision. Are
Yeah.
you happy with the decision that you made to come to St. Mary's?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, that's always a good thing, right? And so what are you majoring in? You're a senior this year.
I'm majoring in biology, pre-physical therapy, and then I'm minoring in psychology.
My gosh, we had Maddie Walraff in here last
Oh,
weekend, and
gosh.
she's a biology major as well.
Yep,
right?
same major actually.
Oh my gosh, we're just surrounded by smart student athletes, and we're not two of them. So do you have anything lined up after college, or are you just gonna kind of let it roll?
Actually, I toured Northwestern Health Sciences in the cities.
Okay.
I'm looking at chiropractic school.
Nice.
So I think I'm pretty set on that decision right now, but I mean, who knows? I still have like half a year to decide, I guess.
Yeah. There's still time. And then, so one final question. What do you think are some reasonable expectations for the basketball team this year? Can we expect another Final Four appearance?
Yes, I would say so. We have a lot of talent coming in. I know we lost some two key starters, but I think just with like everyone bringing in that same mindset that they want to do good, and like our new coach, he's brought in a lot of new like expectations for our team. We're gonna run a different type of plays, more fast paced, and hopefully get more points on the board. And I just feel like it's it's going to be a fun year.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Brandy, for sitting in with us. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We still have one free t-shirt to give away, 2 more contestants. 507-457-1615. Call in if you want your chance to win a Squeeze t-shirt on the 16-second Squeeze. 507-457-1615. Brandy, again, thank you. We're going to send it to break. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be right back. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR, Real College Radio. This is Ryan from Iowa City. How you doing, Ryan? You're on The Squeeze.
How's it going, Anthony?
It's going good. Thank you so much for calling in. This is your chance to win a t-shirt. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're going against Christina. You have 16 seconds to name as many baseball teams as you can. Baseball teams in 16 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs, the Astros, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rockies, the Dodgers, the Giants.
Okay, that's it. Got 8?
8.
Okay, thank you so much for calling, Ryan. Stay tuned and listen to see if you are going to win the Squeeze t-shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will.
Keep listening. Bye. Okay, so that was 8 for Ryan. Now let's see what Christina had. Christina had 16 seconds to name as many baseball teams as she could. As I load up the, there it is.
Cubs, Brewers, Twins, Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners, Royals, Tigers, Nationals.
Okay, that's 10.
10?
Yeah, I got 10. So Ryan, better luck next weekend. That's a -2 for Ryan. Thank you for calling, though, from Iowa City. That's an interesting place to be listening to the St. Mary's Sports
Traveling all around the world.
Squeeze show. 507-457-1615. We did have another caller on the line. If you want to call in real quick and get the 16-second squeeze done, we can do that. 507-457-1615. You only have to beat Christina at a +0. So
She's off to a good start.
here we go. The bar has been set. Let's just answer the phone right here. Oh, Make sure you turn your radio down there, caller. What's your name and where are you from?
Make sure you
I'm fine. I go to school.
Hi, Zion. Thank you so much for calling the squeeze. You are participating for your chance to win a T-shirt. You have 16. You have to choose Christina because that's all we have left. You have 16 seconds to name as many languages as you can. Languages. 3, 2, 1, go.
Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Arabic, Japanese, English, Cantonese, Mandarin, Vietnamese, French.
Okay,
German.
that's it. That was 10.
Wow.
Wow, Zion. Good job. That was impressive. Stay tuned and keep listening to see if you win the T-shirt. Thanks so much for calling.
No problem.
Okay, bye. So that was 10 from Zion. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Let's see. Christina had 16 seconds to name as many languages as she could.
Shocked how long it took to say English.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Okay, English, Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese. Oh my gosh. Portuguese. Oh my gosh, this is I can't.
5. 5?
Yeah.
Okay, 5. Congratulations, Zion. This is our biggest winner ever. Plus 5. You go to school here, so I'll be sure to find you somewhere on campus. I think I know who you are. Zion, thank you so much for calling the squeeze, and congratulations for winning your squeeze T-shirt. That was some good stuff from Brandy Blattner. She's a very good interview. I was very, very excited to talk to her. Like I said, I was kind of nervous, but she was a natural.
Well, I've heard too, like just GPA and just grade wise and all the stuff she's involved in. She's in a lot of stuff. She's very smart as well. So overall, just a great person, as Neil said earlier as well.
Yeah, multi-time all academic Almanac as
Yeah.
well as simply Almanac. We got interrupted by a caller earlier. We got interrupted by Niels actually talking about the hockey game. The way to look at this hockey team against a team like St. Thomas is basically, well, you're probably not going to win. So go into it trying to beat the team that's clearly better than you. They're the 15th ranked team in the nation. And just like Alex said, these kids could easily be going to Division I schools, but instead decide to come to a great school like St. Thomas to win, national championships, MIAC championships, and play on a consistent basis. St. Mary's isn't exactly that. We have very quality players, but not a lot of D1 talent. So anytime we can even get close to St. Thomas, it's a big deal. And on Friday night, we traveled up to Mendota. Is that
Mendota Heights.
Yeah, see, I remember that.
Yeah.
Mendota Heights, St. Thomas. We traveled up there and we tied them 3-3.
Should have won. Give him a goal with 40 seconds left.
There you go. It was the same story. I didn't even know that because I wasn't really paying attention. I just saw the final score. But that's a point against St. Thomas. That is very impressive. And then last night, you go into it, you're getting absolutely manhandled, dominated in the first period. It looked like there was no stopping the Tommies. They had puck control the entire period, and it looked like they came to play. And then the second period rolled around. St. Mary's didn't really get any goals.
Pretty even. No,
Yeah,
no
it was.
goals.
But I will say St. Mary's had the possession. They had the possession of the puck the entire time in the second period. And in the third period, that possession finally led to goals, and it was 3 unanswered. And they took the lead 3-2 with 3 minutes left.
Place was erupting.
It was incredible. I felt like I was at a Notre Dame football game. I mean, it was the crowd went absolutely nuts. It was loud. It was exciting. And Zach Drake was doing a great job on the PA announcing. And he's a baseball player. He's a good guy in the intramural football field. And it's just then the air gets let out of the building. St. Thomas scores 2 real quick goals and then an empty netter. And the game ends 5-3. So you went from, okay, we're losing, this kind of sucks, to, oh my gosh, we're tied. Let's just keep it a tie. Oh my gosh, we're freaking winning.
5 minutes left.
We're about to beat St. Thomas after tying them. And then the next thing you know, they lost.
Well, that's the thing. St. Mary's was projected to get 8 out of 9 in the MIAC
Wow.
poll. So no respect at all. And then they lose to Gustavus and Concordia earlier in that MIAC showcase, and then should have beat the 15th ranked team in the nation twice. So again, it was very tough, but those freshmen that they have, and there's a lot of really good players.
Yeah.
So again, got to forget about it.
Yeah.
We got 2 Wisconsin teams next week, and then Augsburg, who is probably better than they're better than St. Thomas.
Really? Wow.
They're at St. Thomas won, then Augsburg won St. Thomas too. So 2 weeks. It's here at St. Mary's, I think Friday,
Okay.
Saturday night maybe. So
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be announcing it, and I'll be in the
it'll be
stands
fun.
taking notes. Hockey is one of those sports. It's a lot like soccer in many ways. And the soccer team, we saw them, we're going to talk to Chris Beiersdorf. He's a senior on the soccer team next weekend. And we saw that they didn't take those ties and those close losses very well against superior opponents. And instead, they turned around and started losing to teams that they should have beat. Hopefully that doesn't happen with the hockey team. Hopefully the hockey team can take these 2 very hard-fought games and make a positive out of it.
yeah, and their first 2 games, those ones did not actually count towards their conference record. So again, you got a point on St. Thomas. You've only had 2 conference games, both against the 15th ranked team in the nation. So again, it's a start. It's the 3rd and 4th game. of the
Absolutely,
season.
anything
You're
can
fine.
happen. And all we can expect, all we can hope for is a playoff appearance. Just give us a playoff
Yeah,
appearance.
women's hockey opens up this upcoming weekend. They play St. Thomas too, and
Okay.
They might
They
even-
won last year.
they might even be better for women's St.
Okay.
Thomas. They're unbelievable. Yeah, top
Okay.
10 maybe.
507-457-1615. We're done with the 16-second squeeze, but I want to hear from you. Sports opinions. 507-457-1615. I'm going to pull up on the squeeze Twitter real quick. We have been kind of tweeting out a couple polls recently. The one last week was if you are, we talked about it on the show, if you are a Dodgers fan, are you happy with your team the last 6 years? And 9 people voted. I know, crazy. 9 people. That's a lot of people. And all 9 of them voted, no, I'm not happy. We need a World Series. And I wasn't expecting that. 507-457-1615. If you voted on the poll, explain your answer. And if you didn't vote on the poll, maybe you disagree with that answer, call in 507-457-1615. And then the other poll that we're going to talk about concurrently is one that I just tweeted out yesterday. And that was, tell me, would a college football playoff without Alabama be a good thing? And this one got 12 votes.
Oh, wait, yes was the one.
And yes,
I voted no.
75% of respondents said yes. College football playoff without Alabama would be a good thing. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Let me know if you voted, why you voted for that answer. And if you didn't vote, tell me your answer right now. 507-457-1615. You said you voted no. You think Alabama is a good thing in the college football
I think
playoff.
it'd be boring. You have someone to hate. If there was just 4 teams, say it was Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and just like another, like Oklahoma, like who do you want? There's no one to hate. Like SEC, like an Alabama, LSU, you want to hate a team. You want to root against a team because say if one of your 4 favorite teams is not in there, like you have no one to really root for or root against. So I think being Alabama in there, then the upsets that happened, like I remember 2 years ago, Clemson beat Alabama in the national title game.
Yeah.
Me being a Clemson fan, almost in
Excited.
tears.
Yeah.
I was pumped because
They beat
I
Alabama.
hate Alabama.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I guess I didn't think about that. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Let us know what you guys think. But I guess I didn't think about that. I'm looking at it as like, in the college football playoff, I don't even want Alabama to be in there because they're in there every single year. And they're clearly the best team in college football every single year. But you bring up a good point that once they're in the playoff, they're not nearly as dominant as we think they are.
No.
They might be this year, though. Did you see what happened last night?
Yes, it was. They
That-
just killed.
That was the first and third ranked team in the nation. And Alabama beat them 29-0? 27-0.
I think it was 29. I think
29-0. 507-457-1615. We just got another vote on the Alabama poll for no. So
Okay.
that increased a little bit. We're up to 13. If you voted, I want to hear from you. 507-457-1615.
I think a big thing too, the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn. I think, say if Alabama loses in that game, and then they're not in the playoff, like I think that's fine still because that Iron Bowl game, everyone
It's
watches
always
that
exciting.
game. It's nuts. But this year, Auburn's not as good as they should be. So again, I would rather see Alabama in the playoff this year. But say if Auburn's really good too, then I think that's fine because then you can see Auburn just upset Alabama or Alabama get upset in the SEC title game. So I think like Alabama, those last 3 games, so you have the Auburn game, SEC title game, and then the first game of the playoff. If they get to that point, and if they lose, that's fine. But again, if they're just that dominant, you want to see them. You want to see the best team in the playoff.
That's true. That's a good point. And I guess I'm just salty because I don't want to see the best team in the playoff because they're the best team every gosh darn year. It's getting tiring to watch Nick Saban just strut out there with the best recruits every single year. And now for the first time since Alabama's been good, they actually have a quarterback. So how are you going to stop them? You're not. You're not going to stop them.
This Clemson's supposed to have 4 D linemen and maybe in the top 10, all go top 10 in the draft. So they said it's going to come down to these 2. But your Notre Dame team, you never know with them too. But I don't think they're
No.
going to. They'll make the playoff.
They'll make the playoff, which is fun and that's exciting and that'll make me watch for sure. And I'll love it. And I'll love every moment of it. And I'll be sitting on the edge of my seat. And I know that Notre Dame is going to absolutely get their brains beaten in by whoever they play.
They'll probably play Clemson in a 2-3. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Unless Clemson loses, of course, unless Notre Dame loses. We still have how many weeks left in the college football
There's
season?
like each team has like 3 to 4 games left in the regular
Okay,
season.
depending on if they have a conference championship or not. So a lot can still happen. Alabama can still lose 2 games. I don't think it's going to happen.
Notre Dame,
But-
they kind of have a little difficult. They have
Yeah.
Florida State, Syracuse, who's 19 right now, then at USC. So
And that at USC game is a lot like the Iron Bowl game, where you never know what's going to happen. Because you walk into USC, that's a tough environment, and Notre Dame has struggled there consistently since I've been a fan of them. 507-457-1615. Tell me, would a college football playoff be a good thing without Alabama? 507-457-1615. And if that one doesn't suit your fancy, then 507-457-1615. If you are a Dodgers fan, if you were a Dodgers fan, let's just make it hypothetical. Would you be happy with your team the last 6 years? For reference, the last 6 years, the Los Angeles Dodgers have won the NL West every single year and have yet to win a World Series. 507-457-1615. I would say, yeah, I'm pretty happy with winning the division every single year. That's a pretty good accomplishment, especially in baseball.
Yeah.
When you make it to the playoffs in baseball, it's like hockey in that the best team doesn't always win.
hockey, they like never win.
Exactly. So just get to the dance. That's all I'm asking. And if you're telling me that my team is going to get to the dance every year for 6 years, sign me the heck up, you know? I mean, I was surprised, to be honest, when I saw the vote go that way. 100%. 9 people agree that, no, I wouldn't be happy if I was a Dodgers fan right now. Those must be some Boston fans because they sound pretty spoiled to me.
Well, I think people just look at like, what are you playing for? Are you playing just for the division title or the World Series? So I think that's a lot of people's opinions. Like, obviously, that's the ultimate goal: win the championship. You're not playing just to win the division. You want to win the whole thing. So I think if you just see World Series, Stanley Cup,
Yeah.
Super Bowl, if you just see that on a vote, I feel like you're going to pick it.
Yeah, 507-457-1615. Phone lines are pretty dead. That's okay. I still want to take your calls. We're going to take it to break here. And after the break, there's a little bit more of a shakeup in the standings in our NFL picks. I had a pretty good week. Alec did as well, but I was just a little bit better. So we'll talk about that after the break. 507-457-1615. You can call us during the break, and we will take your call and put you on the air here on The Squeeze. Thank you so much for listening. Stay tuned. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR, Real College Radio. And yes, this is on actual radio. Alec was a little surprised.
I knew it was on, but two different stations.
Yeah, it's on two different stations. So just for a little bit of clarification, the 92.5 FM frequency is on campus. It's a very small frequency. And then it is translated to the 94.3 FM tower, which is a much larger frequency. At times, you can even get it up to Lewiston and up to Rochester. I'm not Rochester. It doesn't go that far. Up to Iota, because it goes that far. It's a pretty big frequency, the 94.3. So if you're in Winona and you're ever in your car, the station, it's not just The Squeeze, if that's all you listen to. It is also a music station. It's a real radio station, 94.3. If you're ever in your car and you go to St. Mary's, support the radio station. We play pretty fine music, and a lot of times there are shows going on. So don't be afraid to tune in, 94.3 FM when you're just, cruising around in your car. But Tim Rude, I wonder if there's any relation to Mr. Alec Rude here. None at all.
Yeah.
I think the two people in the chat have been our fathers.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
They're baseball fans.
He says, happy as a Dodgers fan, he would be. Would you rather be a fan of the Padres, Orioles, Marlins, etc., get in the playoffs and see what happens? I agree. I mean, that's why it surprises me, because that exact rationale is what I thought most people would have. What would you rather be? Would you rather be the fan of, the White Sox?
When we talk about Red Sox, Yankees, and Dodgers, like most of their fans are, I'm not trying to say anything, but they're stuck-up fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And they deserve to be.
You're complaining about you're not having all these good players and stuff, but you're making the playoffs every year. Now 10 out of the 30 teams, they make the playoffs. Like, that's a third of the whole league. It's so hard to do.
Yeah.
So, I agree with them as well that getting the playoffs are the best time for baseball by far. I think that's the biggest league where the playoffs are a lot more fun than the regular season.
Oh, absolutely.
I think so for sure.
100%.
There's so many fans that don't watch the baseball regular season
because it's so long.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they watch the playoffs. So like you said, get in the playoffs, your team's in there. Pretty much every stadium sold out during the playoffs. So it's a fun atmosphere, I think. And
then Tim Rude he's going ham in the chat. Thank you so much for the support. Bama, Clemson, Notre Dame, and whoever. You need a villain. Great fan base, talented team, and Cinderella to make it exciting. You need the villain. You need the villain. Who's the Cinderella? Did you
UCF? What if you put them in?
That would be pretty fun. I think they'd also get their brains beaten in, but it would be fun.
You got to put them in though.
Because who honestly, other than Tyler Trent, who honestly predicted that Purdue was going to beat Ohio State? Nobody.
Exactly.
But it happened. So who's going to predict UCF over Alabama? Nobody except UCF fans. And what if it actually happens?
Well, now there's 4 undefeated teams. It's Notre Dame, Clemson, Bama, and them.
Make it
that. Michigan? Why do they deserve to be in there? They lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
UCF. It's not their fault that their conference is so bad. Obviously, they could have a better non-conference.
You can only play who's on your schedule. And I get, again, that's part of the equation and that's part of the voting. But you can only play who's on your schedule. And if for now 2 years in a row, you've beaten everybody on your schedule, give them a chance. They haven't lost a football game in forever.
And you think 4 or 5 years ago when they were scheduling their non-conference for this year, you think they thought that they were going to be at this point? Not a chance. So it's not their fault. And this is the only sport. March Madness, you can win everything and still get to the championship. This is the only sport where really a selection committee, if you go undefeated, will not give you a shot at the national championship, which I feel like something has to be done. I think an 8-team playoff would be perfect.
Yeah. And
16's too much, I think, but I think 8 is perfect.
I think 8's good too, because you look at the NFL and that's 12 teams. Okay. But it's not a professional league. So you can't ask amateur athletes to play that much of a,
or maybe do a 6 and give the 1 and 2 a bye or something.
Just do something. But I guess you're right.
I think if you're undefeated, you should be in no matter what.
And
I don't care
agree.
where you are.
I agree. I think if Ball State goes undefeated in their season in the MAC, then they deserve it. If NIU in the MAC goes, 10-0, they deserve it. I agree. I agree with what you're saying, and I also agree with what Tim Rude says. I guess you do need the villain, and Bama is the villain. Unless you're a Bama fan, you hate Alabama.
Is there any other college football? I can't think of any other college football team that's now a villain because it's basically Bama running the show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, a lot of people do not like Notre Dame and do not like Notre Dame fans. Understandably, they're kind of like Boston fans. They're a little
Ohio State could be one.
Ohio State.
People don't
Well,
like.
that also has a little extracurricular. You know, there's a reason to hate Ohio State, and his name is Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
So
Michigan, I guess.
Michigan, I don't know, but not a lot of people hate Michigan.
Exactly.
Michigan's a likable team. Jim Harbaugh is a likable. Is it Jim? Yeah, it's Jim. John is at Baltimore.
Yeah.
Okay. I always get those two mixed up. But thank you, Tim, for being so active in the chat. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. What's your opinion? Don't be afraid to interrupt us. We are going to move on for just a moment to talk about our picks, and I'm going to play Claire and Teresa's picks after I go over what happened last week. If you do remember last week, Alec and I started tied at 19 and 13 apiece. Claire and Teresa lagged behind at 14 and 18. Claire and Teresa went 4-4, respectable. I don't really know what
That's
else
a
to say.
classic record for them.
That's their record because you know what? They're basically flipping a coin when they're picking teams. Alec went 5-3, again, very respectable. And your boy is back in first place, Anthony.
You were already in first place.
Well, we were tied. So now back in first place, I went 7-1 over the weekend. So again, I don't know what the spreads are on these because we don't bet because we're not allowed to because the NCAA. So I don't know what the spreads are. I don't know how I've been against the spread, but you can pretty confidently say that if you're picking with me, you're going to make some money.
I'm only 2 games down, and we have 3 different ones this week. So.
That's true. So Claire and Teresa, if you can do your math correctly, are 18 and 22. Alec is 24 and 16, and I am 26 and 14. So now let's listen to Claire and Teresa and find out what they picked for this week. If I can, that's not the mouse. There's way too many monitors in this station. Okay. Technical difficulties as always. Trying to play their sound bites, not working. Okay, here we go. Lions at Vikings.
Oh, I always am tempted to pick the Vikings because we live in Minnesota.
But the Lions seem like strong.
Yeah.
Can we say tie?
Oh, we've never picked a tie before.
Okay, picking a tie. That's
Well, that's never gonna happen, Claire.
What are the odds?
They've already tied once this season.
Oh, we're picking a
we're
tie.
picking a tie.
Okay, picking a tie.
Throw things up a little bit.
Steelers at Ravens.
Oh, the Steelers.
Jets at Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Bears at Bills.
Bears? Because of Illinois?
I know, but I kind of just want to pick the Bills this time because,
Like a duck bill?
yeah.
All right. Money, Bills.
Rams at Saints.
The Saints really annoy
Oh,
me.
it was like All Saints Day yesterday.
I
a good
kind of
point.
hate the Saints for no apparent reason whatsoever.
I think Drew Brees played on the Saints for a while. So let's do. What was the other one?
Yeah, what was the other one?
The Rams.
Oh, yeah. Let's just do the Rams.
Yeah.
Packers at Patriots.
Packers. No, wait. Tom Brady.
Patriots.
Titans
Overruled.
at Cowboys.
Oh, the Titans.
And Falcons at Washington.
Oh. I think we have to pick the Falcons because Washington is. How is that a mascot?
Yeah.
Well, their mascot is a racial slur, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh,
Okay,
then we're
well, then obviously
definitely picking the Falcons.
Yeah.
So there we go. We had some weird, different kind of trains of thought for them this week.
Yeah.
We had Drew Brees on the Saints. The Saints really annoy me for no apparent reason. So we're going to pick who else? Oh, yeah, we're going to pick the Rams just because we hate the Saints. That's, interesting.
They
And
haven't
then,
picked the tie yet.
and then they picked a tie, which is, I told them that I will give them $5 each if
I would
for
give them
some
30.
I think every person, we have 5 people on YouTube and we have 3,500 listening on the radio. I think if the game ends in a tie, we all owe Claire and Teresa $5 each. So that's, a lot of money for them. So they pick a tie. Then they pick the Dolphins, of course. And this is kind of interesting. And if it happens, I'm going to cry. They pick the Bills over the Bears. I think they were just mad at me and they wanted to pick the Bills over the Bears, but it's probably going to be a loss for them. This is the most interesting one. This is the one that I didn't know which way they were going to go. The Packers and the Patriots. They pick the Packers every single week, and they pick the Patriots every single week. Who was going to win? Tom Brady, of course. Claire tried to go in with, I'm a Packers fan, but then Teresa just said simply Tom Brady. So, Alec, you've heard their picks. Now, give me your rationale on this week's 8 NFL games.
I will pick the Vikings beating the Lions. I think the Lions are going to be a mess now without Golden Tate. I will take the Steelers over the Ravens. I think the Ravens are they had so high expectations coming in, and they've just blown it. I think James Conner is going to stay the running back. I'll take the Dolphins over the Jets. I just think those two teams are just some odd teams, but I think the Dolphins, Kenyon Drake, is going to have a big day. I'll take the Bears over the Bills. I've been joking with you a lot that the Bills are gonna beat them, but it's the Bills.
But you don't actually believe it.
No,
you
not at all.
to say it.
I'll take the Rams over the Saints. This one, I think it's gonna be such a fun game, but I think people are just thinking the Saints are gonna win at home. They're gonna show the Rams, but I think the Rams are the best team in the NFL. I think they're gonna stay with it. I'll take the Patriots over the Packers just because in Foxborough. I think if it was in Green Bay, I would take Rodgers. I'll take the Cowboys over the Titans. I do not like the Titans one bit. I need Zeke Elliott to do good for my fantasy team this week. And then I'll take Washington beating the Falcons. Kind of not an upset since Washington's 5-2, but I think Washington's for real. I think they're going to win that division over the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Giants. And I think Washington and Adrian Peterson's back.
Who is Washington's quarterback?
Alex Smith. I think he's
Alex Smith. I knew.
I think he's so underrated. I think he's really good.
Yeah, this is quite the week of NFL football. We had a lot of good games in college football, and we have 2 marquee games here with the Rams and Saints. That is going to be a 50-point shootout each way.
And the Bears and Bills.
Okay, yeah, and the Bears and Bills. Well, we know what game I'll be watching. And then the Packers and Patriots. That's the battle of the GOATs. So, did you see that Michael Jordan commercial? That was very well done.
No?
Yeah, it was for the broadcast. It was Michael Jordan, and he was sitting in a chair basically saying, how do we decide who's the greatest of all time? They even wear the same numbers. And, you start thinking, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. And then he's like, I'm ready to settle it. Or he says, we're ready to settle it. And then he goes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady.
I wouldn't be shocked if Drew Brees just hearing all this just goes off today. I could see that happening too. So that's fun. Those 4 teams all together. Then you have Todd Gurley too. There's going to be a lot of superstars breaking out today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So at first I picked the Lions over the Vikings, but I forgot that the Lions were away. So because of that home field advantage, I'll pick the Vikings. I'm picking the Ravens over the Steelers. The Steelers, like you said, the Ravens have been on a decline, but I think that defense at home is going to be tough to beat, even if the Steelers have been rolling a little bit.
That could be a good game today, I think.
It'll be fun to watch. Fun one to watch. I picked the Dolphins over the Jets. They're home, and they're the Jets, so I'm not going to pick them. I picked the Bears over the Bills for obvious reasons. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. I picked the Saints over the Rams, which is surprising because I'm finally saying that the Rams time is up. Their undefeated season is going to end at 3:25 today, or it'll be 6:30.
I think that's fun with the NFL too to have an undefeated team. It's just like
it's a fun team to watch every year, every week. I apologize. I picked the Giants over the Titans, and I picked the
Cowboys over Titans.
Oh my gosh, I picked the Cowboys over the Titans. The Giants aren't even playing this week, I think. I think they're on a bye. Yeah. And I picked the Falcons over Washington, which is kind of surprising because they're away and they haven't been performing very well.
Terrible.
But anytime I see the Falcons for some reason and I can't decide, I just go with the Falcons. I really like Matt Ryan. I don't know why. I don't really have a reason for it. You would think eventually Julio Jones will make it in the end zone. Maybe.
He gets so many yards. For fantasy, he's fine. He got a touchdown.
And I don't know. There's just something about the red and black Atlanta. I just like the Falcons. I always have.
Yeah,
so anytime I see the Falcons on my prediction sheet, I got to go with them unless they're playing a team that I actually think will beat them. So interesting stuff. Alec and I are differing on 1, 2, 3 games. So again, I mean, if you go 3-0 again in those games and I go 0-3, you could take the lead.
It's the Ravens, Steelers.
Yeah, it's Ravens, Steelers, Rams, Saints, and Washington and Falcons. So, some interesting stuff. I'm taking the home team, and an away team, and you're taking 2 away teams. Interesting. I don't know. Mm-hmm. If anyone's doing an Excel spreadsheet at home trying to correlate what our predictions are going to be, then There you go. 507-457-1615. It's 11:43. Wow. This one has gone by quite fast. Our opening segment is meant to be 15 minutes, and I think it was 25 or so. 507-457-1615. We've been on a roll. Niels Anderson, that was great. Brandy Blattner, also great. I loved having her in for the first time, and hopefully she can be a reoccurring friend of the show as well. I'm very excited to see what that basketball team is going to do this season. Yeah, 507-457-1615. Tim Rude, no relation to Alec Rude. I'm just kidding.
Not at all.
Had some nice things to say in the chat. 507-457-1615 is the phone number if you want to, share your opinions on the air or on the chat. That's fine too. We will read it and we will talk about it. 507-457-1615. Maryland football. I'm sure you've heard what's been going on. I don't even really know how to talk about how dumb the Maryland Board of Regents has been in this entire situation. A 19-year-old child literally lost his life under the care and supervision of this football coach. And it wasn't he has a disease, or he had heart palpitations, or he had some sort of condition, pre-existing condition. There wasn't any of that. This was simply a college football coach abusing his athletes and not being able to take care of them. This falls under risk management and negligence. We talk about it in sports management all the time. I have a project to do, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to do it on Maryland football. There's a lot going on in this. He was suspended for 80 days. DJ Durkin is the head coach of the Maryland football team. 80 days he was suspended for. And they brought him back after an investigation. They brought him back for 20 hours. They reinstated him.
Same day that. Yeah.
And the same day that he was brought back, he was fired. So what did you just do? You made a mockery of yourself by putting him out there. Did you really not think there wasn't going to be any backlash at all?
Like, they have to make up their mind. That's the thing. Just either sway one or the other. Did they lose it? They didn't lose. Or
they lost to Michigan State this week.
Did they get money, though? Like, would they lose money if they would have just said?
So I do believe they have fired him, and they do have to buy him out of his contract, which is ridiculous. You would think that within his contract, if you kill a kid, then you won't deserve the buyout. But I guess not. I guess that's not covered in the contract. But now I get it probably will be in the next Maryland head coach's contract. Just despicable. And I don't get it. DJ Durkin is not a good football coach. He's 15-17 since he's been with the Maryland.
Maryland's doing fine this year without him. They're 5-4. Like, it's not terrible.
So there's no upside. There's no upside whatsoever in bringing him back. And the fact that they did and then fired him the same day, either stick to your guns and take the heat for making that ridiculously dumb decision and just let him coach out the rest of the year.
Yeah, I saw a video clip of I don't know if you saw Tim Tebow. He just went off on Maryland. He thought, stick to your word. There's going to be haters at you, but stick to your word. And, like, why would you change your mind like that? Either do one way or the other. So you got to make up your mind.
And I'm not saying that was the right decision. I'm saying that is the wrong decision to reinstate him and let him continue coaching. I think you should have fired him outright, not even given him the chance to come back as the head coach, but you did. So then at that point, you have to stick with it. You have to go with it, because if you made that decision and you were confident in yourself that he wasn't negligent and that it wasn't his total fault for the death of one of his athletes, then you have decided that. And you've decided that this is the poster child for your program. That's your decision. Stick with it. But the fact that you changed so quickly within the day tells me that that investigation that lasted 80 days and cost millions of dollars did absolutely nothing.
This is what college sports is getting you, though. Like, Urban Meyer, like, if one big situation comes out that you really never even intend to do anything wrong, like, you might be out the door that fast. So I feel like politics is right now, especially for college sports, it's at its highest point, I feel, because if you don't make almost 99% of the right choices, during when you're coaching, you could be up the door very fast, and that's a lot of money lost.
And that's a good thing, I'd say. The first day of college, or the first day of college, the first day of sports management class, and we do talk about sports management class a lot, but we're both in it, and it's a fun class, and we talk about real biting issues in sports, and it's one of my favorite classes because I can talk in my radio voice, and I make radio segments out of my answers in the class, and you do as well. But on the first day of class, I said, look, college football has gotten to the point where it is win first. Schools do not care most of the time about what their head coaches are doing, about how sleazy their head coaches are. And I would argue that this kind of shows that point. To Maryland, they weren't seeing a guy who abused his athletes. They weren't seeing that. They were only seeing a guy who might be a really good head coach. And that's the same thing at Ohio State. What Urban Meyer did is not okay at all. And he should not be able to coach at Ohio State any longer. I think he should have. And I still think that. I think he's a slime ball. But the fact that Ohio State brings him back just reinforces my point that the only thing that matters in college football is winning. That's the only thing that matters. And that's kind of disgusting.
I think like Ohio State, I don't think they're going to win as much without Urban Meyer. That's what you're looking at. Win first the whole time.
Yeah, and it's same thing happened at Penn State. I mean, that was a little bit more of a cover up.
That was ridiculous.
But you know why it was able to be covered up? Because Joe Paterno was a legendary coach. So anything that Joe Paterno said went. That's how it went. That's how it goes. Whatever the legend coach says, that's what happens. So if that means the abuse of children for years and years and years, as long as Joe Paterno's winning bowl games, that's all we care about. And that's kind of disgusting.
And someone died when they're trying to investigate it. I feel like for this, stuff just goes in the coach's favor. It just tends to every time.
Yeah.
He got reinstated. How?
I do not understand. I do honestly just don't get it. 507-457-1615. Let us know if you have an opinion on the culture of college football currently. And if this happens a lot, take off the glasses, take off the critical eye, and just watch football. You don't have to think about all the sick and disgusting stuff. That's our job. That's, sports media's job. That's the Board of Regents at Maryland's job. That's not your job as a college football observer. I mean, and it's not my job when I'm watching college football. I don't think about, oh, this is terrible. You should be paying the players, and all these coaches are slime ball. I don't think that. I just watch really good athletes play football, and I'm not telling you to change that. That's what sports should be. But it is also important to educate yourself on these issues and to talk about it with people. So 507-457-1615 is the phone number.
I want to say one more thing too. I think this leads to the discussion. Look at baseball and hockey players, and then compare that to football and basketball players. I'm not trying to rip on football and basketball, but it's pretty clear that there's a lot less issues in hockey and baseball than the other sports. For me growing up, that's why I thought hockey, baseball, and tennis. The people around me, I'm not. There's good people, but there's not going to be as many issues. There's not many risks. And then basketball and football, you just have those cases, and we're seeing it all around. All the things we've talked about is football. And I'm, again, not trying to rip anything, but those are the just two sports that I feel like stuff happens.
And I think part of the reason why, if you want to try to figure out why those sports have more problems than the other two, is because the microscope is so much more zoomed in on them, because that's the ticker at the bottom of ESPN. You don't see NCAA baseball unless it's the World Series. What you do see is NCAA football and NCAA basketball. So because those two sports are so, in the public eye, it makes sense to me, at least. It might not to you, but it makes sense that most of the scandals come from those two sports, because that's what we're paying attention to. And that's where winning matters first. Because those cultures are such hyper cultures. You have to win if you want to compete. That's it. If you want the best recruits, you have to win. And if you want the most money, you need the best recruits. That's just how it works. I don't know how to stop it. It probably will never be stopped. And we're just going to have to live with it. 507-457-1615. There's one more thing I want to talk about, though. And you're a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, right?
Yeah, I like watching them.
Okay. They're
Basketball in general, I like, but no, I love T-Wolves are fun to watch.
So I'm sure this is a fun statistic. At the onset of the show, we talked a little bit about Klay Thompson scoring 53 points on 5 dribbles. Derrick Rose, one of my favorite basketball players ever, scored 50 points a couple nights ago. You want to know how many dribbles he had? Guess how many dribbles he had.
I don't know. I didn't watch a game. I feel like it was a lot. Was it a lot?
Just guess.
42.
Guess.
20.
No, keep going higher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
80. 100.
Up.
130.
635 dribbles.
No way.
635 dribbles to score 50 points. Klay Thompson dribbled 5 times to score 50 points. I mean, of course.
I guess I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah,
I guess T-Wolves is the guy.
Obviously, Derrick Rose is a streaker. He goes
way
in the
off.
lane.
Wow.
He's also a point guard, so it kind of makes sense. But it's a little funny to those, the dichotomy of those two. But that's not the story. The story, of course, is Derrick Rose. And the story of Derrick Rose is confusing and it's conflicted. And it kind of has something, it relates a little bit to the college football conversation. Derrick Rose, if you look at him as merely a basketball player, he is a amazing story. A poor kid from the south side of Chicago, goes to college, first pick of the NBA draft to his hometown team. This is 30 for 30 stuff, and he still might have a 30 for 30 named after him. Then he's rookie of the year. Then he's the youngest MVP in the history of the NBA. He leads that Bulls team to 3 straight seasons as the number 1 seed in the East. He's the king of Chicago. And then there's the knee injury. It happens. Knee injuries happen. Injuries happen to every athlete. And then come the comments. And then come the not wanting to come back. And then another knee injury. And then another knee injury. And now the story doesn't look too good anymore. That's just merely basketball. Then he works his butt to get back to the NBA. And he does so. He gets traded to the Jazz, who then immediately release him. Then he gets picked up by the Cavs. Has a relatively good season.
Yeah.
And then gets signed by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and scores 50 points. And says his goal is merely to be the 6th man of the year. And that is noble as all heck, if you just look at it from a basketball perspective. And then you have to talk about the court trials and the rape allegations. And I think it may be in poor taste to only talk about that stuff on the night that he scores 50 points. I think that's poor taste, but it's a necessary conversation. And that's where the waters get muddied. But to me, take the artist away from the art and just look at the art. Just look at the basketball and just look at the determination to get back to where he just got to. And look at the emotion on his face.
In that interview, that emotion, I almost teared up watching it. That was crazy. Just how he even explained how much he's just put through all the hard work that he's done for that one moment.
Exactly. And what he has gone through, when people say that, in my positive outlook, I'm thinking only basketball. Because the rape allegations, although he was not, he was not guilty in a civil suit, he was not liable in a civil suit.
Mm-hmm.
That happened. That he didn't trudge through that. That had nothing to do with determination. That he did that to himself. So when you talk about this guy coming back from all of his adversity, don't talk about that. That he didn't come back from. Don't commend him for getting through the rape allegations.
Mm-hmm.
Only talk about him getting through the injuries and the mental issues that he had. Look at that. And you have to, again, I'm always about educating yourself. You have to educate yourself about what happened. But just take the artist away from the art for one moment and just look at Derrick Rose as the basketball player and look at the amazing storybook story, Hollywood movie story that his career has been.
I think Jimmy Butler's, like, all that gossip and stuff, I think that's helped Rose because now all the fan base, the whole NBA is probably watching the T-Wolves, like, what's going to happen? And then they see D Rose do that. So I think Jimmy Butler having that situation, which is not good. For Rose, which is very good. I feel like he's gotten a lot more publicity just because of that.
507-457-1615. It's about that time, folks. Thank you so much for listening. We got a couple minutes left. I want to hear a phone call. 507-457-1615. Opinion, question, you disagree with us on something. 507-457-1615. In the meantime, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say thank you to Alec Rude for all of his work that he did on the show this week. He is our very hardworking producer, and he does a lot here for The Squeeze. I'd like to thank Niels Anderson for coming and sitting in with us, talking not a lick about track, which, you'd think.
He had some good points.
Yeah, I do. I liked, he's very good at making himself educated without being educated. He's very good at twisting his words, and he's got a lot of good points. He's just a really smart dude is basically all I'm saying. And then I really want to thank Brandy Blattner. Honestly, the most nervous I've been for an interview that I've ever had on The Squeeze. I'm sure you can echo the same sentiment. She did great. She was an awesome interview. And if you missed anything, if you're tuning in right now on YouTube, you can always go back on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page. It's simply Anthony Pasquesi. Go back and watch the show from today if you want to go back and listen to something funny we said, or you want to comment and say you disagreed with something. That's the place to do it. Follow The Squeeze on Twitter at The Squeeze, the number 4, at The Squeeze 4. Follow Alec on Twitter at AlecRoot10, and follow myself, Anthony Pasquesi, on Twitter at Anthony_Pass. I'm very active on Twitter. The Squeeze is pretty active on Twitter, and Alec.
I've got a bit of retweets.
Okay, Alec retweets a lot. So 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Looks like we're not getting any calls, but it's 12 o'clock, so our time is up. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next weekend. We do have Chris Beiersdorf lined up. He's a senior soccer player here at St. Mary's, and that should be exciting. So tune in next week from 10 to 12. And this was The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi, produced by Alec Rude.